Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I wanted to share a super quick training with you on the two ingredients that you need to have your business work for you instead of the other way around. So I'm not going to do a whole big drawn out intro. The two things you need are people, number one, and process is number two. So the two P's, people and process. Now, what does that even mean? Why do we need the process part of it? Why the people? Like, obviously, I know I need employees, but why is that important? So, let's take this example. Most times when things go wrong, and you may have done this before too, most times when things go wrong in your business, it's easy to blame the people. Well, Jimmy just didn't clean out the grease trap last night. Oh, well, they didn't clean, like the closers didn't do anything. They didn't clean the counters. They didn't clean the grill properly. They didn't prep enough. So I was shorthanded for lunch. When I opened, things were messy. It's easy to blame the people. That's what we all do because it's easy. Oh, well, millennials don't have any work ethic. Gen Z, there's just no commitment. They don't care. It's easy to say that stuff, right? But the reality is the missing ingredient there in most cases is actually the process. So, what I mean by that is what's expected of people? What are the standards that have been set? How have things been trained? And we have Flora, who's my little friend, coming to join our chat today. Hi, Flora. So, the people in the process are the biggest pieces of that. So, when I'm talking about process, what I mean are all of the things. So, picture it like this. Say, for example, you were playing a game of basketball, only no one was keeping score. There were no rules written down anywhere. You had never been a player before. You didn't even know how the game was played, none of that. And so you just showed up, and all of a sudden you grab the ball and you start running with it. And then they call you for a travel. And then you maybe shoot it at the wrong end. And then all of a sudden you score a point for the other team. And all of a sudden, what's happening is you're kind of crappy at this game, obviously. But what's going to happen is eventually you're going to learn to get better and better and better. And you're going to learn by making those mistakes. Maybe someone else on the team is going to say, hey, you have to do it this way. You have to do it this way. These are the rules you have to follow. And they're all kind of passing those on. So eventually you get to be the captain of the team. So now picture this, you're the captain of your team, owner of a restaurant business. So you're captain of the team. And then a brand new person comes on, and then they're making the same mistakes that you used to make. They're, not doing things properly. They're traveling. They're not shooting in the right direction. They're not playing defense properly. None of that is happening. Can you imagine if you just came in and were like, man, he clearly doesn't have any commitment. Oh, well, that person clearly doesn't care about the game. Clearly, they just, are too stupid to know what to do. It's hard to find good players anymore. When in reality, in a lot of cases, they actually just don't know to do it any differently. They don't know how to do it properly. Where is it written down? Where was the training on it? Where were all the things that would actually make their jobs and lives easier for them to be successful at the thing that you're trying to get them to do? So most often, people say that common sense isn't very common anymore. Well, I will tell you that that's true because your version of common sense is going to be different than my version of common sense and different than someone else's version of common sense. Because your version of common sense, what's easy for you to understand, is based up of your experiences and the things that you've learned along the way. Obviously, no one else is going to have your experiences and have learned the exact same things that you have learned. That's just not, it's not going to happen. So therefore, common sense isn't what we're going for here. So, hi, Flora. Welcome back again. So I don't know whether I should start cutting her out of my trainings or not. But the point I was trying to get to there is ultimately we can't expect the same things. Okay, you can go now. We can't accept the same things out of brand new people, right? Unless we have the processes clearly defined and in place. So one of the biggest things that I try and structure with our teams is how do we make it clear that someone who is just walking in for the first time can know what's expected of them, when they should have it done, and how high. If you have to get someone to jump, how high should they be jumping? That's kind of the example that I like to use. So only when all of those things are in place can we then go back and look at the people side of it. Because here's one example that I use in my own business. We used to have checklists that would say clean the front door glass because our doors are made of glass that you see through. And so many team members would go and they would clean it, but they would clean it with sanitizer and a white bar towel. And it would be streakier and look worse than before they ever did it before. So then I would have to go back and chase them, be like, you did it wrong. You're supposed to use Windex and paper towel, and here's how to do it. But The problem was that everyone kept making that same mistake. So it finally clued into me that, hey, we need to actually change the way our checklists and everything are worded to say clean the front door glass with paper towel and Windex. And as soon as we did that, those problems went away because it was clear. It was one less decision that people had to make on their own. And clarity is the key here. Now, then, if you've established all that stuff and then the person still doesn't do it right, then it becomes a people issue. And so that's where we get into the hiring piece. How do we ensure that we're hiring the right people and attracting the right people to make sure that they can execute the systems? Because ultimately, we have to look at our business as a system. It's one big piece of grinding gears that kind of work together. And when something goes wrong, we have to go back and say, okay, which piece isn't working? Which piece do we need to fix? Was it clearly laid out? Were they trained on it? Was it the person that was doing the training that's the issue? Or was it actually the person that was being trained? Where is that issue and how do we fix it? But the problem is that most of us, especially first-time business owners, especially people in their first few years of restaurant ownership, they just think, well, the people are the problem. They're stupid. They don't have the right skill set. But then when you look at the people that have survived, the only way that you have been successful is by learning from your mistakes. So let me ask you this. If you're not going to give the people the same chance to learn through their mistakes the same way you did, then how is it fair to expect any more of them? Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to get at here is what you want to be doing through your systemization and your hiring process and your training process is trying to cut their learning curve from the learning curve that you experienced to the learning curve that then they have to go through. So it might have taken you 3 years to learn something. How do we train someone to learn all of that stuff in 3 months so they can be at the same level as you? Because I can guarantee you, if you've been doing this job for a while and you are the best at it, but your team is not the best, the problem does not lie with them. The problem actually lies with you and the people and processes that you put in place. So feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you're looking for help on how do we find the right people, put them in place, how do we perfect our processes, our systems, and how do we, interview, train, all that kind of stuff, let me know. I'd be happy to help. But I think that those two ingredients, if you don't have both of those in line, your business will never grow to the level that you want it to. All right. Have a good one.